Will more people travel into and out of Ireland in coming weeks under new rules on COVID tests and restrictions? At the moment, people coming into Ireland from most other countries are asked to restrict their movements for 14 days. But after a government decision yesterday, from the end of this month they can cut that short if they take and pass a COVID test at least 5 days after arrival. People leaving the country could soon be able to take a test at Dublin Airport. The spread of COVID-19 infection is continuing to slow here, with the 14-day incidence nationally now standing at 151 cases per 100,000 people. However, the latest report of the loss of 16 more lives is the highest since the end of May. We'll hear later from the Minister for European Affairs and from a group representing businesses in the north who are still waiting to find out if they can reopen this week, despite a higher fatality rate there. Let's talk now with Eoghan Corry, editor of Air and Travel magazine. Eoghan, good morning.
Good morning, Gavin.
After 29th of November, if I was planning on coming home from, say, for example, London, what would happen?
Your 14-day quarantine self-isolation goes down to 5 days if you take a test. It's a belated move, Gavin, to try and do what the rest of Europe has been doing. We are pretty much out there alone with the 14-day quarantine, and this is an alternative for no matter where you come from, no matter how high the rate in the country that you're coming from or the region that you're coming from, you will have an alternative of swapping that 14 for 5. It comes with a price. You have to produce a test, and that it doesn't come cheap. I mean, the prices range from €80 to €180, depending on where you go.
So I restrict my movement for at least 5 days, take a test, and if it comes back negative, then I'm free to go out and about, yes?
That's it. And it's really important because while the EU traffic light system applies to European countries, it also applies to anywhere. We have flights. We have daily flights from Boston, New York, and Boston, New York, and Chicago. And people arriving from the USA have to quarantine for 14 days at the moment. So it does open up transatlantic travel, very important from the business community point of view. There's also a whole set of circumstances in the EU legislation which includes imperative family reasons. That would include a sick relative, and it includes weddings and funerals. So there are new categories in there which bring us more in line with what's been happening in Europe since the beginning of summer.
Now, this is for red countries, which is most countries at the moment. There is a category called orange countries, which will include regions in parts of Europe as well. What happens there?
Yes, the regions is a new departure as well. We treated in our discredited green list during the summer all countries as entire units. This would be pretty important for the likes of Madeira, which is different from Portugal. I mean, the Spanish rate is very high at the moment, but the rate for Lanzarote, Gran Canaria is about 44, Lanzarote is about 51. The problem with the traffic light system, which was apparent within weeks of it being drawn up, is that the rates all over Europe are going the wrong direction, and all the regions that would have shown up as green when it was first conceived, and even amber, are now gone to red. So there are very few countries that are entirely amber. There are none that are green. Turkey and Turkey would be the only one left. Finland has just gone through the metrics for the amber list. But you are right, the counting regions rather than countries does give us a chance to see some more countries coming into amber during the coming weeks. If, for instance, the Canaries being an example where the numbers like ours are going the right direction.
What about leaving the country?
Leaving the country pretty much stays exactly as it was before. Most countries, there are about 5 that have pretty strict restrictions on arrivals. Most of our traffic, our air traffic, about 30% of our air traffic is to Britain. We don't have to quarantine when we go to Britain. Coming in the other direction, you do. So that, for somebody with a family visit coming up to Britain, means that they can operate within the British lockdown, of course, which has its own implications in England. They don't have to quarantine in that direction. They do have to quarantine on return.
Sorry to cut you short. Will we soon be able to take a test at Dublin Airport or any airports leaving here to quicken the quarantine period or restrictive period from in another country?
Yes, tests, but again, we are back in this situation where the passenger pays for it. Dublin Airport has the system in place. Last night it was indicated they wouldn't need planning permission for the facility, and it's also coming in Shannon and Cork. And countries like Germany will test you for free when you land there, but a second test if you come back, that you need a second one after 5 days, you have to pay for.
Eoghan, thank you for that. That's Eoghan Corry, editor of Air and Travel magazine. More on this later in the programme.